I'm Linda,
And I'm Rick.
and
we're
we're
going
going
to
to
Maine.
Maine.
Rangeley is located in the woods of western Maine, about 20 miles east of New Hampshire and 25 miles south of the Canadian border. The nearest airports are in Bangor and Portland, Maine, and both are about 2.5 hours away. But we chose to fly into Albany, New York, and enjoy the scenic drive. Check out the spectacular lightning we saw on our flight. From Albany, we enjoyed our 6.5-hour drive through Vermont, New Hampshire,
To free or die!
and finally into Maine. It's always exciting when we first see the town of Rangeley because that means we are almost at the camp.
If you're not from Maine, you might call this a cabin or cottage, but up here, it's a camp.
The camp has been in the family for about 40 years. It's rustic and charming and very comfortable. The perfect place to get away.
The camp, like most camps up here, uses lake water for the shower and the sinks. But for drinking water, we need to head to the nearest spring. "10 gallons later, we're set for the week.
The first day we were greeted by a perfect Maine summer morning. There's nothing like waking up and seeing this view.
Yes. That's what you want for a temperature. Summertime in Maine.
The family camp is located on a lake not far from Rangeley. It's situated on this point that gives a 270-degree view of the lake. And just down the shoreline, another family member has their own camp. As the sun sets, the lake goes quiet, except for the sounds of the water and, of course, the loons. Hiking is a great activity when visiting Rangeley.
That's where we're going. As a rock. 1.8 miles. Ready?
That's where I want to go, 1.8 miles.
Perfect.
Our first hike was to Piazza Rock. It's a relatively short hike that's part of the Appalachian Trail. If you want to make this a longer hike, you can continue on the trail all the way to Saddleback Mountain.
ahead?
Yeah.
Almost there.
Piazza Rock is a fallen rock outcropping on the side of the mountain. We took a short lunch break under the rock before climbing the narrow path to reach the top. After climbing to the top, Rick had to fly his drone above the trees to actually see the surrounding view. The climb down was more difficult than climbing up. There are a few streams that need to be crossed. Fortunately, log walkways are laid out over the swampy sections.
Made it.
Our next hike was one of our favorites, Smalls Falls. This is a short hike, but you will have to climb some slippery rocks and roots, which may be difficult for small children. There are several pools along the trail to cool off in, if you don't mind swimming in chilly mountain water. Our final hike of the trip was the Cascade Stream Gorge.
It's easy to miss the turnoff to this trail, so pay attention to the signs.
The trailhead parking area is very small and may be full on a busy summer day. The trail is just under a mile round trip and runs along the stream as it snakes through the gorge. There are a few waterfalls along the way, with the biggest at the top. Of course, the reason you come to the Rangeley Lakes region is to enjoy the lakes. Whether you enjoy boating, kayaking, or swimming, it's all available up here in Rangeley. I saw that fish jump. Some friends on the lake invited us over to their beach, where we enjoyed the view while the kids swam in the cool water. After our visit, we headed back to the camp and drove to town for the evening. Rangeley is a small town, but if you're visiting, here are a few places we wanted to highlight. Coming from the south, you'll find the only grocery store in town, The Hideaway is a trendy new coffee shop with weekly social gatherings. Sarge's Sports Bar is a local favorite. They have a full menu for lunch and dinner. Classic Provisions is across the street and serves breakfast and lunch. Of course, no trip to Rangeley would be complete without at least one visit to the legendary Pine Tree Frosty. They've been serving ice cream and snacks for almost 60 years. The summer crowd should tell you the wait is worth it. In the middle of town, you'll find the only movie theater for miles, where you can also see live shows, plays, and concerts throughout the summer. For souvenirs, the Alpine Shop is the go-to place for Rangeley swag and local crafts. The Red Onion is Rangeley's old-time pizza and pasta place. One of our favorites is Parkside in Maine, where you can enjoy a great meal on the back deck overlooking Rangeley Lake. Burbish Brew House is a newer restaurant serving lunch and dinner on the patio. If you want to see a moose, our best tip is to head north on Route 16 just before sunset. No guarantee, but we've never failed to spot at least one of these beautiful ladies during a visit to Rangeley. After passing the last gas station in town, you'll see Moose Alley, where you can bowl a few frames, get a drink at the bar, or a meal in the cafe. Of course, our favorite way of escaping the Florida heat is to relax and enjoy the cool outdoors, and maybe pick a few wild blueberries. Even a rainy day can be an opportunity to relax out on the porch with a cup of coffee and maybe read a book, or just listen to the rain. Eventually, the sky clears and the sun breaks through. The sad part about visiting Rangeley is when it's time to leave. As we head out, we make one last stop at the Rangeley Lake Overlook, and our trip comes to an end. It's nice to come home, but we always look forward to our next trip to the Little Red Camp on the lake